We're looking at how to separate substances. What we're going to look at today is something that involves spinning the substance around really quickly, and that will involve separating things that are heavier and things that aren't so heavy. Now there's two ways that you might see this around you every day. One of them involves spinning and sieving, and that often happens in your washing machine, but there are also other ways where you can spin something and not sieve it as well. Now, I'm just going to show you the first one. What I've got here is something called a salad spinner, and the idea is when you put something in here, it separates the liquid from the solids. So if you've got some salad with some water on it, as it spins, the water moves out further and further, and the particles that can't get through the sieve, in this case my ping pong balls, they get trapped inside there, so you can separate those two things. Now, for the washing machine, what's that trying to separate? That's trying to separate things like the water from your clothes, and by spinning it really quickly, the water comes out further. So if I've got my mixture here, and I've got something that's kind of wet and light particles, I put it into a spinner, and by spinning it really quickly, the water can move out to the sides and the things that are trapped in the sieve stay there. Now this is designed to spin quickly. I can spin it with my hand, or I can use this lid to spin it much faster. So if you've got one of these at home, you can watch how it works. And what you see at the end is that the water not only pours out the sides, but a lot of it comes off from the particles on the inside as well. So you can pour off your water. And even when you think you've got all the water out, you can keep spinning and get more and more of the water out. So this is what you'd also call a centrifuge, because what's happening is it's moving with a force that's making something fly outwards. So the centrifugal force is the one that is a circulating or a spinning force, but the force is making things fly outwards. There's also another force called centripetal force, and that's where the force is pulling inwards. When you get to your research, I'll ask you to have a look at that a bit more. So we've got here something that's acting like a centrifuge. It's making a spin, and it's making things spin outwards. Also wanted to show you a demonstration that you can try yourself if you're trying to look at this force a little bit more. And all I've got here is a drink bottle, and I've cut the top off and put my two ping pong balls inside. Now when they're in here and they're just sitting on the bench, there's not a lot of movement. They're not really moving in one way or the other until I move it. But if I spin it, what you'll notice is that the balls keep moving out further and further. So try to get the pencil to go through the middle right in the center. And when I start to spin it, you'll see that the balls are forced outwards. So what sort of force did I say that was when it starts to fly outwards? You remember? For your research, what I want you to do is have a look at a force that involves this centripetal force or centrifugal force, and that's the one that holds things in orbit around our planet. Now, above the Earth we have satellites that are held in place, and there's a force that's holding them in place, pulling them towards the Earth. So the two words are centripetal and centrifugal, and I'll write them down so you can see them. I want you to find out why satellites don't fall down. Is that up in space sending out mobile phone signals? What's holding them in space? Now, I've got a few different things that you could do, but it depends what you've got at home. So if you have got something like a salad spinner, there's a couple of really interesting things you could try. One of those is to investigate butter and have a look at how much oil it contains and compare different butters, or compare butter with margarine. So it depends if you've got that at home. If you'd like to try that one, you'd need to use at least one type of butter and maybe compare it with something like oil. And you'd need to put it in the salad spinner and hold it in place. And if you put something on one side, it sort of needs to be balanced on the other side. So I've seen someone suggest using blue tack to hold your jar or hold your container in there. Probably plastic would be better than glass, I think. And then put your test samples in your centrifuge, spin them and have a look. And what you'll find with melted butter is that the particles that are heavier sink further down, and the particles that are lighter, probably the oils, would fill up to the top of the jar or container. So you could try that one. That one's quite good, quite possible. Might like to have a look at something like a juicer. If you've got a juicer at home, how does that work? And that's quite good at spinning the solid particles and collecting the juice out from the side. I'll show you my pear one in a minute, but you could put different fruit into your centrifuge and then look at how much juice came out from different fruit, and you spin it. What would be the independent variable there? So you'd be investigating different fruit. What could you measure at the end? How much juice? How can you measure the amount of juice or the amount of liquid? Well, you could measure the volume of the liquid, couldn't you? Let's have a look. My juice has come out at the bottom. There's a little bit here. And if I have a jug or some kind of container, I might be able to work out what volume came out. So that's another challenge you could use. Make a model juicer, or use a real juicer if you have a real juicer at home. The last thing that you could also try, if you haven't got any of those other things, is you could try using a bucket. When you put some water in a bucket, you spin the bucket over your head, you'll find that the force is enough to hold the water in the bucket. So it can be directly above your head, but there's enough force pushing away from you that the water doesn't fall down on your head. If you go too slow, it's going to fall out, but you can practice having water spinning in a bucket above your head. Have you heard of people making billy tea in the olden days over a campfire? Maybe you've done that. Maybe you could try modelling what it would be like to make billy tea and separating the tea from the tea leaves using that centrifugal force, that flying out force. All right, good luck.